All right, guys, we're gonna give you a quick news drop, stuff you may have missed. Brand new storm system moving in that says it's gonna bring days of blizzard. More Doge cuts as federal employees lose their mind. Elon Musk facing blowback. Tesla comes under fire, and even literally. And no break on the eggs as eggs continue flying up with the inflation, and I'll tell you more about that. Let's keep you guys up to date on what's happening now. News and awareness that affects you coming right up. My name is Cohen here at Riverside Homestead, and if you're brand new here, welcome. If you guys are into prepping tips, emergency preparedness, and most of all, news and awareness, stuff that you want to know about, be sure to hit that notification bell so you guys can stay up to date. Let's jump into this one. Welcome back, and thanks for starting this off with a thumbs up. One of the biggest things in the news right now is the fact that Canada has a new Prime Minister. It says Liberal Party of Canada leadership candidate Mark Carney delivers a speech in Ottawa, Ontario, on Sunday, and get this, he's a central banker. Former central banker Mark Carney will become Canada's next Prime Minister after the governing Liberal Party elected him its leader Sunday as the country deals with US President Donald Trump and the trade war and anxiety and, of course, the annexation threat, all at the same time as this federal election looms. And I'm not sure if you guys heard it, but I heard Justin Trudeau went out, I don't know, I saw some clips of like a sobbing mess. Apparently, might have been a pretty good show. Said he announced his resignation in January, but remains Prime Minister until his successor is sworn in the coming days. Says Carney won in a landslide, winning 85.9% of the vote. And you know what? I can kind of picture Trudeau crying a little bit on that one. And to sum this up, Trump's trade war and his talk of making Canada the 51st US state have infuriated a lot of Canadians who are booing the American anthem at NHL and NBA games. The surge in Canadian nationalism has bolstered the Liberal Party's chance in a parliamentary election expected to take place within days or weeks. I would say most of the Canadians that watch this channel, I've read quite a few comments, a lot of them are saying they see more pros at becoming the 51st state. What do you guys think? I've heard good and the bad. But straight away in the comments, let's get kind of a consensus of where everyone's mind is. If you want to know what I think, I've looked at it from a lot of angles. I feel like I see more benefits than losses. But when it comes to a country's pride, I could see how people just, it's almost like feeling like you're folding in a way. So I can understand that part as well. But just with the added freedom, more options, and becoming a part of a stronger nation, I think it would be in the best interest of a lot of people, but I might be wrong. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Also huge in the headlines, storm that's coming in that says it's going to bring like disastrous days of storm. We're going to jump into that right after this. Other headlines, federal workers grapple with mental health distress amid Doge cuts, and also brush fires erupt in New York. The New York area, brush fires, heavy snow, they've been getting a dose. As far as the federal workers update, pressure continues to ramp up with Trump's agenda. All employees, and this is a lot of you, I know there's tens of thousands of you out there, maybe hundreds of thousands that this may affect, all employees of the Department of Health and Human Services, overseen by Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., received an unsigned email Friday night offering them voluntary separation incentive payments. Let me know if you guys got one of those emails and what it looks like. The move comes after President Donald Trump clarifies in a cabinet meeting last week the agency heads, and they're saying not Elon Musk, are in charge of these staffing decisions. Meanwhile, the Department of Homeland Security stated performing polygraph tests. Can you imagine that? Them all having to go through a polygraph test? So this would be on the employees in the attempt to learn who might be leaking information according to 4 sources familiar with the matter. Secretary Kristi Noem and Border Czar Tom Homan have blamed lower than expected ICE arrests, numbers of recent leaks revealing the cities where it planned to conduct the operations. And with a lot of them saying, meanwhile, some federal workers, many whom were veterans, spoke to NBC News about the serious mental health crisis they've been experiencing. And yeah, there's a lot ramping up, including the eggs. The eggs are still not under control. We'll get to that in a minute, but let's talk about this weather. I bring this up, they always dramatize this, right? Make it sound like it's just gonna be the end of the world, but it does and will affect a lot of people, and making sure you guys are prepared is my biggest concern. So major storm threatens flooding, blizzard conditions, tornadoes across the US the rest of this week. We've even got Fox Weather saying storm system to bring days of blizzards, severe weather late week. So we're about midweek right now. So going into the weekend, several types of weather events. Let's see what they have to say real quick here in this short 2-minute clip.
But this storm system, Kiana, I mean, it's like deja vu. I mean, it almost looks exactly like the storm that we had last week, which was such a historically, you know, strong storm as far as just having this huge wind field, big severe weather outbreak, the blizzard, just so many different aspects of it. We're doing it again now.
We are, and it's less than a week if you think about it, or maybe just on the bullseye of a week, but it starts out west, at least the first couple of halves of it. Out west is getting hit with the atmospheric river at the same time. So Southern California is getting swamped with that, and then we also see this low come swinging in and really impacting a good chunk of the country. At least more than, I think, 200 million people will be under alert.
It's going to be a huge amount of people that are affected by this, just from the wind field alone. If you remember the one that we had last week.
So they're saying it's going to affect 200 million people. And I saw that atmospheric river hit, and it looked like it was going to hit California pretty hard. So if you guys are in California, brace yourselves, because it looks like it starts with you guys, and you might not have the greatest beach day.
You felt something.
You felt the wind at some point as it worked its way across the U.S. But yeah, look at this.
This is pretty new too. I mean, the I-95 corridor getting into this threat within the warm sector. So watching this play out for Sunday, this takes us well throughout the weekend now.
This is going to be a much bigger warm sector in this storm, I would say, than what we had in the last one, meaning the warm sector, when we talk about that, that's the area between the warm front and the cold front, where the wind's out of the south. You know, it's before the cold front comes in, so it's very warm, as the name would suggest. And this one's going to make it pretty far up toward the north. So we're going to see some of our warmest temperatures up here in the Northeast so far this year. And then some storms roll through.
So, all right, so check that out right there. We got Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now, this is severe weather warning. So if you guys are in these areas, I would probably tune in to Ryan Hall, y'all. He's one of my favorites. But when it comes to just getting a quick recap on what we're to expect, I like to get these little 2-minute shots. And then for those of you that's going to be hit by these things, you guys can tune in to the experts.
Have this dry line. And that's what usually initiates a lot of the storms, especially for the Gulf Coast. That plays out Friday, but also takes us into Saturday and Sunday. And notice what the first threat is: tornadoes.
Yes, we could see some strong tornadoes. Now, you know, we're still several days away from this, so I would say a little early. I'm not going to say that this is going to be a tornado outbreak yet. I mean, there is a chance that it could be. I think a very high, it's going to be a severe weather outbreak. I feel super confident saying that. But yeah, the way that this storm pans out, I mean, it's just a huge amount of wind here. Everywhere you see yellows on here, that's over 60 miles per hour. And that's just the regular wind from the storm. That's not within thunderstorms.
And there's also to account for that winter aspect of it all too. It is still March, as you mentioned, so northern tier of the country, it's still a bit cooler. We do have models that are kind of gauging where this snow is going to fall. Snow is not going to be the big talker of this, but it will play a factor into the blizzard conditions.
Yeah, we're going to see some pretty cool video coming out once again of those whiteout conditions like what we saw last week, just maybe in a few different spots.
Right, and just as we thought we were out of the woods, a lot of people experiencing much better weather. We're hit with this other big, massive storm. If you guys didn't get a chance to pick up one of these, you can't afford not to. They're tiny. You can fit one in your car, put one in your home, buy them as gifts, because we got a massive discount. These things are very inexpensive. And whether it comes to a power outage or you get stuck in a storm on the road and can't keep the heat on, lots of scenarios like this type of thing could save your life. And when you can buy a whole bunch of them because they're super inexpensive, those are the awesome deals I like to promote. So there'll be a link at the top of the description, pinned comment for you if you didn't happen to get one of those yet. So again, for those of you that are going to be in the middle of all that storm action, stay safe out there. As for the eggs, people keep asking, why do the eggs keep going up? Are they going to continue to go up? Here's a quick snippet on what we're experiencing with that.
Breaking news, new data shows inflation cooled more than economists expected in February. The Labor Department says the consumer price index ticked up 0.2% from January, putting the annual inflation rate at 2.8%. The report comes ahead of the Federal Reserve's next decision on interest rates next week, and after another down day on Wall Street. Now we're seeing stock futures rising before the opening bell.
So summing everything up, it sounds like, yes, we're still experiencing a touch of inflation. As this global trade war, as it was riling up, the inflation cooled more than economists expected. So I'm kind of a firm believer that, yeah, it's a little bit rough up in the front, but I think that in the long run, Americans are going to be happy with how things turn out, with also some fingers crossed, if you know what I mean. So they're saying that it cooled down, it slowed down about 3% as far as the inflation rate. On the flip side of everything else, the egg prices continued to increase. Now, I know some of you guys have seen some theories on the eggs out there. Tell me what you think, but they did soar 58.8% in February compared to a year ago, accelerating from the previous month where they're saying bird flu has decimated the egg supply, lifting prices higher. And we've seen all the little clips probably coming from Mexico saying that they got plenty of eggs down there. People are starting to smuggle in eggs over other things down at the border. And to add to that, the Justice Department opened an investigation into egg producers to learn if the market prices have contributed to the price hikes. So it looks like it's so out of whack that they're actually trying to dig into this to see what the heck's going on. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Price control, controlling our food. You think they just want their grips on more of our natural farms? But I can say the prices did drop on something. I'll give you a list here real quick. Prices dropped for tomatoes, cereal, cupcakes, and cookies over the past year. Some grocery prices increased faster than the pace of overall inflation, however, including beef, biscuits, and apples. And as a whole, a rise in housing costs accounted for nearly half the price increases of last month. And this was the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics saying that the decline in the price of airline tickets and gasoline helped offset some of the increased costs, and that's what the agency is saying. Of course, you know, the guys that are struggling buying eggs, cereal, and milk, probably not buying a lot of airfare, right? Reading down even further, we got all the tariffs. You know, they imposed 25% tariffs, steel, aluminum, prompting the near immediate retaliatory duties from Europe Union and making the latest escalation of trade tensions. This also made the stock market plunge, that giving warnings to Wall Street about potential economic downturn within days. And some of you guys know Trump delayed some of the tariffs on Canada and Mexico. So what's going to happen? If you guys think you know, put it in the comments, because I know Elon Musk is feeling it, at least with his Tesla operation. Says a Musk faces blowback. Teslas bear the brunt. Furthermore, as Elon Musk attempts to delve further into corridors of American power, the tech Mongols electric car maker Tesla has come under fire, literally. And I mean acts of vandalism. There's been 10 acts of vandalism. This isn't only with the drop of the stocks, right? Because there's been a lot of people that lost money there as well. Dealerships or charging stations in recent weeks, according to the police and local reports, underscoring the backlash Musk has faced since taking on an unprecedented role in the federal government. What's your guys' thoughts on that? Do you like him being part of the big wigs as far as running this country, or do you think he should stay in his own lane? The attacks on Tesla dealerships also coincided with the decline in sales for the electric car maker. Now, one thing I was wondering is, I'm wondering if he's maybe gonna head down a different trail, you know, maybe a fossil fuel trail? I don't know, because he's got a lot of support in that area, but we'll see. Recent data shows increasing sales growth of electric battery vehicles in Europe, but new Tesla vehicle registrations in Europe are down 45% year over year and are down in China as well. So do you think that has to do with his role in the federal government, or is it because there's so many other makers that are producing electric cars now? I remember the day when I thought Tesla and Prius, right? Now it seems like nearly every car maker has some sort of battery powered electric vehicle. So I bet it has a lot more to do with that. Just a lot more competition, especially from makers that have lower price points. Anyway, I'll wrap it up right there. Just giving you guys a good pinch of news headlines, keeping you guys up to date. Don't forget, if you guys want to check these little survival units out, highly recommend them. You'll also be supporting a family-owned business that's not tied in with the big, huge monopoly. If you guys missed this one right here, really good video. Got a lot more coming down the pipe this week. Keep prepping, keep learning, keep doing. We'll see you guys on the next one.